Before I talk about Lahaina, I want to talk about climate change. Yes, climate change, something that is pushed upon us by the powers that be. Hey, don't get me wrong. Do I believe that mankind can destroy our planet? Absolutely yes. But we're not the ones doing it. The powerful elite are the ones that are doing it. This year has been nonstop disaster after disaster. We started with Ohio and the train derailments that happened here all around the United States, and nobody said anything about it. And have you seen anything come of that? I want to urge people that getting on your phones and reporting things, that's one thing, but understand how much things are censored. You can, report on this stuff. You can get people on the island talking about it. But until people actually stand up and speak up for themselves and actually have some sort of action behind just words, nothing's going to happen. This sort of stuff is going to be the agenda. And I cannot stress this enough to people. This is the agenda towards a new world order. This is where they're going with it to get us to a new world order. Cashless society, 15-minute cities, the whole deal. It's bad enough to have people like Oprah posturing and going out and giving out pillows and blankets and acting like a saint. Nothing happened to her home, so maybe that's why she has the ability to do this. I want to remind people, according to the Associated Press, 86% of the properties that were destroyed from this fire were residential. I want to point out that conspiracy videos have already come out, and understand that just because somebody says you're a conspiracy theorist does not mean anything negative, at least to me. When you say conspiracy theorist, all that means to me is you're somebody who freaking thinks for yourself, and you ask tons of questions, and you don't take anything at face value anymore. You don't trust your government. You don't trust people around you. You don't even trust the news. You might not even trust me. The images from this fire are very telling. Trees were not burned. And I cannot stress this enough. Trees were not burned. Yet the aftermath showing the pictures just tells a different story, right? This is doomsday apocalyptic type stuff. And no one can tell me why this fire took out so many buildings and left others. And of course, the news is going to report it as such, okay? Hawaii wildfire sparked conspiracy theory about directed energy weapons, Newsweek. How about this one? Listen to how they claim it on Forbes. Forbes. Don't ever trust Forbes, guys. Ever. Conspiracy theorists go viral with claim space lasers are to blame for Hawaii fires. Listen to how that is worded. I want to point out something here. If you don't understand how wording can affect emotions and how it can affect your thought processes, then you have another thing coming. Because the way that the mainstream news think, Newsweek, Forbes, AP, any of it, right? CNN, they're going to make it sound like you're cuckoo because you think that this was something other than high winds caused by hurricane. Okay, I'm sorry, I've lived through hurricane, and this is not caused by a hurricane, winds, or any of that. And it's certainly not freaking climate. Anyways, they're saying old photos are being misrepresented online to fuel a conspiracy theory. Now, here's my thought on this. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's done on purpose by the powers that be, or if it is indeed just some fire that got out of control so rapidly, maybe by brush that hasn't been cut, or, just, I don't know, it's a powder keg, right? But here's the thing. It's ironic. It's ironic that Hawaii has a digital government summit coming up. And what that is they're going to be discussing how they're going to be changing Hawaii, right? They want to turn more specifically, Maui into like a 15-minute, future state-of-the-art city, right? And you're going to see this a lot more where they're going to try and push us into these 15-minute cities, or cities where basically we want to cut down on emissions. We want people to stay home, not travel as much. And I think I have another conspiracy about the fact of travel, that maybe all of the disruptions in travel and flight delays and just all of the stuff that they've done to make it hard to travel for people, even with the upcoming changes in the European policies of you need a visa to now travel to certain countries in Europe. This is all a part of this huge agenda. And, these millionaires and billionaires, they don't go to summits to just sit around and have tea and drink wine and hang out and eat dinner. They're going to these summits to discuss climate, to discuss how they can cut down on all of us peasants, the people who are having multiple kids. How can we stop these disgusting, vile vermins from having more children and populating and making it more stressful for the earth, which is, it's obviously sounds like it's their planet, right? Every day I feel more and more like this guy. And I think more of us are going to start to freak out and become more like Tim Robinson in a minute here. So this is Governor Josh Green. I just looked him up, guys. I didn't know who it was. That man right there is the governor. When he came out, the first thing he blamed this on was climate change, you know? So I had somebody ask me just today, hey, what do you think the press is going to say about this? I'm curious to know what our government is going to say about this. You know, we know what's coming out of there, but what is the government, what is the press going to say? I said, they're not going to say anything. You're not going to get answers, okay? Just so you know, the day and age we live in, you're not getting answers. Karine Jean-Pierre definitely doesn't give any response to anything. We sit around waiting for her to respond to any questions, and she won't ever do it. But you're never going to get a response from these people. They will divert this information to climate change, and nothing will come of it. In about, I give it 6 weeks tops, you will not hear anything about this. And what frustrates me the most is they already want your money. You know, our government was set up for us taxpayers to support the people we care about, i.e. Hawaii, which is a part of us, right? There are people, we should support them. And I feel like just all the money that's being funneled and sent over to Ukraine, you know, this is very telling, the response, right? So I wanted to look up what is being on the latest, right? What is Governor Josh Green saying to Joe Biden? And it says that Joe Biden basically declared a state of emergency for Hawaii and said that his actions make federal funding available to affected individuals in Maui County. The assistance can include grants for temporary housing and home repairs, low-cost loans to cover uninsured property losses, as well as other programs. Federal funding will also be available to state and eligible county governments, as well as certain private nonprofit organizations on a cost-sharing basis for debris removal and emergency protective measures in Maui County. Assistance for emergency protective measures for Hawaii County will also be made available. And this was from, you know, the officer of the governor. So it's directly from them in Hawaii. I'm just reading this to tell you this is the state we live in. A lot of people lost everything. Okay. I tried to put myself in this situation to think how I would feel knowing everything is lost. Your home, everything, probably animals for some people if they couldn't get their animals out in time. Utter devastation. So let's look at some of the keynote, what they're going to be talking about at this summit, so you understand their plan. They're talking about the world becoming more difficult and challenges and all the normal. We got to get out of this mindset and get to a new normal mindset, right? And we got to get through this and overcome adversity. How are you going to manage uncertainty, right? How will you manage uncertainty? Is your team ready to embrace the change? Boy, they love to push for this change, right? Change is painful. I'm not going to lie, change is painful, but abrupt change that changes complete money and currency, the way we eat, the way we think, the way we live our lives, I think it's too much for mankind. It's too much. Look at all the beautiful partners, Adobe, Oracle, AWS, and of course, Microsoft is on that list, right? What do you guys think about this? I think the strategy here is to win. And it means by all means necessary. If it means hurting our own people, that's what I believe. I truly believe that. Anyways, have a great day and remember to think for yourself.